Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. It's your boy Raj, the official spokesman of Collecting Raj, the only spokesman of Collecting Raj. Can we edit that? No? Okay. Sorry, I tried. Okay, anyways guys, I am back with not an unboxing, but a figure review. Not only a figure review, but probably one of the biggest toy reviews I've probably done in a while. And that is going to be for the one and only Deathmatch King, always ready, Matt Cardona. Super 7 Major Wrestling Figure Podcast, Matt Cardona figure. So this is the exterior box the figure comes in. Major pod title there on the front, looking awesome. I love the shit out of the design of this box. It's incredible. The colors really pop. I also have the Brian Myers. And it's just as beautiful as this one is. However, I'm not reviewing the Brian figure because I do not have one loose-key. I do, however, have a Matt that is loose. Which, speaking of, my original Matt figure that came in did not have the mini Matt figure with it. Fortunately, the wonderful, wonderful people over at Big Bad Toy Store took care of your boy and replaced it and took care of me. I cannot, for my first experience with Big Bad Toy Store, their customer service was exceptional. Cannot recommend them enough. So go check them out. If you've ever been on the fence about ordering from them, they've got some great ways you can order things, like, you know, putting things in your loot chest or whatever the hell it's called. But the pre-order system's a lot simpler than a lot of other places where you don't have to pay for it up front. I mean, it's just a great company. Their customer service was fast and responsive, and they took care of me on something that was unfortunate, but they really did provide absolute top-notch customer service. So check them out. BigBadToyStore.com. I don't have a promo code or anything for you. This is not even a paid plug. This is literally me giving them a free shout because they took care of me, and I'm incredibly gracious for it. But let's go ahead and move on and talk about the Super 7 Matt Cardona figure. So I do have one that I did unbox, which is the one that did not come with the minifigure. I will show you that one. And I want to talk real in-depth about this figure. I want to talk about the price point. I want to talk about the overall value of it. And I want to talk about your options with the figure in terms of how far you can stretch and get the absolute most bang for your buck out of this figure. And I'm telling you, no regrets. And if anything, I'm almost tempted to buy another Brian just because of the damn options. But let's go ahead and get into it. First, I'm going to go ahead and show you how this figure looks inside the pack, where you just take this little slip sleeve off here. And there is your figure on the inside. Now, each one of these figures, both the Brian and the Matt, come inside of a brown box with their logos on the front. Typical Super 7 style. If you bought any of the New Japan Super 7 figures, they came in boxes similar to this, which I think is pretty damn great. That, I mean, there's just so many layers to protect the figure there, which is very cool. But the overall package design, even if you just kept it on the shelf with this inside of it, very cool. Or even if you set it right next to it or on top of it, I mean, there's so much display value with these figures alone if you're keeping them in on card. I can't recommend it enough. I've seen incredible shots of people who've had their sign on the window with certain colors of paint pen, and these figures are absolutely killer. In box, out of box, I can't recommend them enough. At first, I was a little skeptical because I was not crazy about the faces on them. But once I got them out and I started to kind of experiment with the heads a little bit, I became a lot more appreciative of it. And you can also tell just by the overall design of the deco on the figures, the accessories with it, that Matt and Brian really did put a lot of time and effort into these figures to make them as great as possible. They'll never see this, but as a fan of theirs and the Major Wrestling Figure Podcast, I can't say enough good things about these figures. But I'm going to show you a lot of the reasons why I think this figure is worth way beyond what the initial price was. First of all, you pay, what, $30 for an Ultimate Edition Mattel figure. And those figures are great. In package, they look good too, have a lot of accessories. have no complaints here. If anything, the Mattel Ultimates are some of my favorite figures in wrestling right now. Most of them look just absolutely stellar. Now, these figures, I believe, were $40 retail, maybe $45, give or take. So that seems a little bit high. However, this is where I'm going to talk about it. So if you look inside the package, first of all, you've got multiple interchangeable hands, which to me is not a massive deal, but it can still work out in the end. You've got a major pod microphone. You've got a mini matte action figure right here, which is very cool. Kind of wish I had one with my loose one, but unfortunately, like I said, there wasn't one in the box. There's also some Broski Bucks over here on the side, another accessory. And then right there behind the turnbuckle is a dog tag necklace, which is very cool. And then here's the big selling point, and this is something I'm gonna really hammer down in this video. 4 heads. All right. You've got kind of the screamy tongue out head. You've got the smirky, grinning face right there. The tough guy face on the body, and then you've got the head with the major pod hat right there. Okay, so we're talking a figure with 4 heads and accessories. Okay, now most of your Ultimates, at most, I believe, have 2, if not just 1 extra head with it. The Ric Flair, I was able to take the extra head with it and use another Mattel body to make a pseudo Ric Flair, so that was great. But more often than not, you get 1 head extra if there is one, and that's usually just about it. So with my Mech Cardona, I obviously really appreciate the figure as it was out of the package. Now, thanks to good friend of the channel, Chaos Wrestling Club, you can find them over on Instagram at Chaos Wrestling Club with a K. They do a lot of shirts for wrestling figures, and they're all fantastic. I've got some shots of some of the figures that I've bought shirts for from him on my Instagram, and you can check those out. I had a Monday Night Raw shirt made for a Macho Man custom I made. Got a Murderhawk shirt for my Lance Archer. I have several shirts, and they are all just fantastic. Hell, I decked out all of my old Bullet Club guys from the Elite with Bullet Club shirts, and it looks chef's kiss. So check them out. Prices are fantastic. Shirts are great. But outside of the plug, what I did is I had purchased the white Deathmatch King shirt. The LI shirt right there, right? Now, it came as a regular t-shirt, and I did give it the broski cut, and then trimmed off a little bit on the bottom to make it a little more symmetrical, which is totally fine. Now, this figure looks great with just the vest and no shirt. However, I really wanted the shirt on it and the vest. Now, let's look at the vest. The vest, it's got the logo right there on the side. Lots of pockets, zippers, things like that. And then, of course, on the back, always ready. Clean paint application. Very, very, I love how it's got kind of the silver layers to it, which really stands out against that blue. Now, something I will say I do like about the vest as well is that it's very, I wouldn't say it's too thin, but it is thin enough that you have quite a bit of flexibility with it, which is real nice. The knee pads and the boots have a lot of deco on them, which is really nice. The, little Matt Cardona skull logo there on one knee pad and the MC on the other. I love the two-tone boots, which looks really nice. And of course, I do love that he has the LI hands as well. Now, this particular figure, obviously, if you've seen his GCW match that he had recently from Hammerstein, where he had the match with Joey Janela, and you saw his entrance gear, it was really nice to know that Mattel accessories will fit these figures pretty damn well. They are pretty damn close in scale with them. So what I ended up actually doing is I hijacked the flannel shirt from my WrestleMania Mick Foley figure and actually ended up putting it excuse me, allergies today, but I ended up putting it on matte to kind of give a not completely the same, but a very similar look to his entrance gear for his match against, Jelly Nutella. And dude, like, this thing fits perfectly. The scale of these things with Mattel figures is pretty damn spot on. Now, something else I do appreciate is that they even got Matt's tattoos on the side of his calf there, which is really awesome. Just it's small detail, but really, really cool. It does look like there was some silver paint that may have carried over onto that, which happens. But nothing that, probably can't just be scraped off, honestly. The knee pads do shift up and down. So the knee pads do move. The figure's got great articulation to it, which is really nice. The joints are really tight. Arms, they kind of have those ratchet joints in them, which I do like that as well. Holds them in place a lot better, especially if you're going to be changing shirts, ring gear, things like that. But all in all, very, very overall well-designed figure with wonderful deco. And like I said, I was kind of lukewarm on the face at first because I thought it was a little bit too cartoony for me. But honestly, the more I've looked at it, it's kind of warmed up on me. It really has. Now, so kind of what I talked about with the accessories and being able to get more bang for your buck out of this figure. And I think this is another reason why this figure definitely exceeds what the actual retail on it is, because you can basically, if you have the right, extra figures or parts, you can make like 3 more Matt Cardona figures out of the damn thing just because you have those extra heads. Because here's why. So this here is a Mattel body. This is from the Paul Ellering Build-A-Figure. And what I did is I've got the dog tags on them right there. The head fit perfectly on the body. No issues, no nothing. So as long as you've got a proper neck joint on the Mattel body, Matt's head is going to fit there. And I was able to basically take this Mattel body and turn him into basically a NWA appearance Matt Cardona. Now I need to get the MCWA shirt for it, but you get the gist. The jacket's pretty spot on for it. The jacket actually came from the Jazzware Sammy Guevara figure, and this jacket's versatile as hell. I put one on my Bret Hart. It looks fantastic. I put one on Macho Man with his Monday Night Raw shirt. It looks perfect. Makes him look like that style of Macho Man from that interview he did with Vince for Raw. And on this Matt figure, it absolutely is awesome. So there we go. I took scraps of another figure, and boom, I've got another Matt Cardona figure. So if you're running like a Fig Fed, boom, here's your Matt that's doing his promo, and then boom, here's your Matt that's coming out for his entrance. I mean, how can you lose with that? And then on top of that, you've still got another head left over. You got the hat head right there left over that you can use for something else. I've also got the smiley head. It's in my accessory box, but you get the idea. You have so many options to just swap the head over to just another. You can throw on a basic body, throw some custom shirts or pants on it, and you can make another figure. You can take those couple of heads and make 4 figures essentially for the price of 1 if you have all the accessories around, which more likely if you are a freaking wrestling figure collector, not like I am, you probably got a couple of extra figures laying around that either you've used for parts or something like that, and you can easily make some extra figures and just buy some new clothing for them. Shirt, pants, whatever. Again, Chaos Wrestling Club, check them out. Great stuff, and you can pretty much make a shirt of just about anything you want. But all in all, the figure is fantastic. I can't recommend it enough. I absolutely adore the ambition behind these figures. The price point on it is stellar. I know that it seems high, but dude, if you're a mid-on-box collector, if you're a Lucy collector, it doesn't matter. You're going to get your money's worth because it looks stellar in box, it's stellar out of the box, and out of the box you even get more bang for your buck because of all the accessories. You can have a lot more flexibility with what you want to do with that figure. And Matt's got so many different looks from so many different companies. It's nice to have extra heads that you can make those other looks for him if you're a fan of his, and be able to have all those versions of them and not have to buy for the damn figure just to keep getting the head sculpt, because it's definitely a lot better of a head than the majority of his Mattel stuff for sure. So this figure I definitely give a 10 out of 10, hands down. I actually like it a lot more than the Good Brothers figures. But I also know there's a lot of issues on that side of things with the Good Brothers where there's miscommunication, and that probably led to the figures not being so nice. Now, one thing I will say is that getting a major pod hoodie would be nice. However, I don't know if there's really a way to do that yet or not. Dude, if you're on the fence about getting these, if they're still available anywhere, I would recommend getting one. Even if you don't get Brian, if you want to get just Matt, get them. It's such a damn cool figure. So much like added value with all the accessories with it. I mean, it feels like, you know, a Mattel Elite or an Ultimate Edition just because of all the stuff with it and just the quality of the figure. Very good. I'm not the biggest Super 7 fan, but I've got to give them major props. These figures are absolutely fantastic. 10 out of 10. Absolutely killed it, knocked it out of the ballpark. But guys, I think it's going to wrap it up for this video. If you haven't already, go ahead and follow me over on Instagram at Collecting Raj. And while you're at it, follow Matt Cardona on Instagram and Twitter at Matt Cardona. And also, you can follow the Major Wrestling Figure Podcast on Instagram. They have a Patreon group, which will give you access to the Facebook group, Major Wrestling Figure Podcast, where they have so much great content, lots of good people in the community, and it really as a nice group of people who can really relate on the hobby of collecting and wrestling. Not just wrestling either. There's a lot of wrestling to it. As far as the fandom goes, but there's a lot of people there who are just fans of collecting figures of all kinds. So if you've always wanted to join a group, check them out. They've got some, you know, pretty affordable tiers on the Patreon that'll get you access to the group, and just lots of great people in there. And they also do weekly flea markets and events they host like that, boozing with the toys, so on and so forth. So highly recommend it. I've been a part of that group for years, and I really do enjoy it, and I no regrets at all. I really, if anything, Matt and Brian helped me get back into the hobby so much, because I kind of was dying off on being a collector, and they just really helped bring back my passion for it. So big thank you to those guys. But Matt Cardona, Super 7, Major Wrestling Figure Podcast figures, check them out. I think you can actually find them on Ringside right now. If not, you can probably find them over at Big Bad Toy Store. But guys, that's going to wrap it up for the video. Hit that like button if you enjoyed it. Subscribe to the channel. But as always, have yourselves a major weekend.